Okay, so the other day we started the subject that was managing information in organizations, and this is the other subject that I'll be teaching you, and this is managing people in an organization.
Mm.
So, can you please describe like what do you understand by this managing people in an organization?
Basically, how to manage like the employees and like the managers in an organization. I think yeah.
Yeah, that's basically what I would say. Uh, Managing people, you can also in other terms define as human resource also. You might have heard
Mm.
human resource management. It's just basically that. So what we'll be learning from this would be that you will be able to understand the different methods by which we can uh, train individuals, or we can develop their skills. How can we improve the working environment? All of that. Move to the next slide, or move to the, I guess, fourth slide. Yeah. So, why do organizations need training? Or what is your opinion? Do organizations even need training?
The the employees in the organization.
Overall, training can be from anything, like training employees or training your current employees, or if you are hiring new people, how are you training them? Or if the company is starting a new project, and do they need to train their current employees to work on the project?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like there are, like goals and like certain, things and like certain like skills that, that like employees need to have, you know, like so that
Yeah.
like they like could be useful in the organization.
Yeah, the basic need for training is that there is always some gap, right? uh, there would be, like, you can say, an actual rate of production, and then there is an expected rate, and you have to meet the gap. You have to if you are not meeting the expectations, then you have to train your employees to enhance their working productivity. The next slide, there is an example. uh, there's an actual curve for cars, and then there is an expected curve of cars. The actual curve shows that there are 800 cars, and the expected curve shows that there are 1,000 cars, and then there is a gap of 200 cars. So we need to train the employees or workers to to bridge the gap from 800 to 1,000 cars. So this is the main purpose of training in your organizations. This is why we need a training in organizations, to meet the gap, to bridge the gap between actual and expected demand. Uh, so if you move to the next slide, you can see there's an explanation for this training needs. The reason for making 1,000 cars: not enough resources, poor machines, poor staff skills. So this is all the gap there is. Now what you need to do would be that you need to improve your resources, you need to contact more suppliers, you need to improve your machinery, you need to improve your staff skills, and all that will come after you start the training program. If you want to increase the staff skills, you need to train them better. Now, as training experts, we must analyze the situation to determine if expected result is too high, target achievable, is training the only way to make it happen, are there other factors? So these are all training needs, right? You can always predict, and you can always analyze that if the demand or expected demand, whatever you have calculated, it can also be very high, right? And it can also be out of possibility. So you have to keep in mind that whatever goal you have set, it should be achievable. I hope that's clear,
Yes.
right? So now we have an exercise. Imagine you are the managing director of a full service restaurant. One day you receive a complaint letter from a guest reporting she was not satisfied with the follow up regarding the criticism of being overcharged in one of your restaurants. Why was the complaint made? Is there a training need? Now, how would you answer these questions? Think about it. Just take some time. You can think about it.
How was the complaint made? It's because like the customer was overcharged, right? So
The
it probably you know this is like probably like the like mistake of uh, of the server or the employee that was like handling them in the restaurant. Like they were like they were like careless maybe, and so that's why like the complaint was made, because like definitely like like the customer paid like more than they wanted to. And then yeah, I mean, is there a training need? Yeah, sure. I mean, like the more like training, the better for the employees.
You are right. The complaint was made because there was a carelessness, or sometimes even the servers or the employees can be rude towards the customers who complain, right? And the training need is that the restaurant needs to, I guess, train their employees to be more mindful towards the customers, and they can be more responsive or careful from the demands of the customers, right? So let's move on to the three reasons to consider conducting an internal need analysis. So there are three reasons you can conduct an internal need analysis. First one is employee obsolescence, outdated. Second is career plateaus, or the third one is employee turnover. The first one is that employee obsolescence or outdated means that the employee you have, either their methods are outdated or they have become obsolete. Like whatever they are pursuing or whatever their methods are to reach out to customers, or whatever they're doing for production, that is a thing of the past now, and they have to move forward. And sometimes the employees do not know technical advancements. Like if you go to McDonald's, right? They introduce new machines, like now you can order from touch screens, right? You don't have to see the paper manuals or paper menus for that. And if the employee doesn't know how to deal with that, then he won't be able to explain that to the customer, right? And you also for cooking, McDonald's have introduced ice cream machines that need operating, and if the employee is not up to date, he won't know how to use that machine, and that will hinder the working of the company and sales and etc. So the employees do not have to be obsolete, you have to keep the employees up to date. So that's the first consideration of conducting internal need analysis. If your employees become obsolete, then you will go out of business. The second one is career plateaus. And the basic understanding from this is that employees should be educated to some extent, right? Uh, let's say if you are a waiter, right? You are a waiter at a restaurant, and you aren't educated at all. Like you haven't been to school or anywhere, any form of education you haven't received. Then the way you deal with customers, that will be affected very much. And in respect, let's put another employee there right next to you, and he or she has been educated to some extent, and the way he or she deals with the customers will be a lot different. You can add the factor of respect to that. You can add the factor of personal communication skills to that. So that's I would say that's the importance for education and training programs for that. So the training programs and education are very important for any career, right? And the third is the employee turnover. Now, what they mean by this is that you need to develop plans for employees, right? Every employee, how many holidays they can have in a year, and stuff like that. These are the three reasons you need to conduct an internal need analysis. Now, the next is importance of training. Now, there are many importance points given right here. Like, what would be the very basic importance of training in your mind?
It is definitely to like like build up the skills of the employees and bring like efficiency into the firm and
Yeah,
it like it can also reduce like costs because of like big uh because of like more skilled employees.
yeah, that's right. So, what I think of when I hear the word training is that you need training for, I guess, everything in an organization, from training employees, current employees, to training new employees. Like, you have to incorporate them in the organization, in the working environment of the organization, right? If you hire a new employee, you need to tell them how things work in the organization, what they have to do. You have to tell them their duties, and you have to teach them those. And if you think that an employee needs certain skills, then you will teach them those skills to enhance the work productivity. And yeah, that's what I think of training. Here they have listed a lot more importances. First of all, maintains qualified products and services. Yeah, yeah, if you need to, if well, all the organizations need to maintain the level of quality, right? So in order to achieve that, they have to train their employees in a certain way, so that all the products and services, they are consistent and have the same level of quality. Secondly, they have stated that achieves high service standards. Yeah, if you want to achieve high service standards, then you have to train your employees to those standards. Like, you cannot have any employee who is working below the standard. That will just lower the graph of quality or level of standards for your organization. Then there is it provides information for newcomers, right? Like I said before, that if you have new employees in the organization, they need some sort of guidance. They need some sort of training to get themselves into the environment, and how the things work in the organization. So that is importance of training again. Refreshes memory of old employees. Like, if you have some current employees working, and they have been working for, you can say, 5 to 10 years, they might forget some things. Like, whenever you become comfortable, or you are in your comfort zone, you try to make things work in your way. But if you give them the training again, they will remember that maybe the things they are doing, they are not according to the organization's goals, right? And they need to change their ways in some ways. And achieves learning about new things, technology, products, service deliveries. Yeah, you can learn about new technologies through trainings, and if you are trying to implement new technologies in the organization, then you need to train your employees to know how to work the technology, right? Then there are reduced mistakes and minimizing costs. Like you said, that it minimizes costs training. Like, if the workers are trained with better skills, they will increase the productivity, and that will minimize the costs. Opportunity for staff to feedback, suggest improvements. Like, whenever there is a training in progress, you ask your employees, or you ask the trainees who are being trained for feedback. and this is an opportunity for you to learn what needs to be improved in the training or what needs to be improved in the working environment. And then there is improved communication, relationships, better teamwork. So it's just all from all of the above that whatever the training helps in organizations, why we need training in organization. I hope it's clear.
Sure, like forward it.
Yeah. Uh, so this is very similar to the, I guess, importance of training. Benefits of training is that
Mhm.
trainees learn something. They get more knowledge about the job they are doing. Right
Yes.
now, what is basically training? How would you define what a train? What is training?
Training is like is like something that the company gives to the employees to like you know to like build or to like to like improve their new or existing skills so that like the company could like perform better.
Yeah, that's correct, right? So what they have, what is the main exact definition, or you can say the book definition is that training is a systematic process through which an organization's human resources gains knowledge and develops skills by instruction and practical activities that result in improved corporate performance. So it's just a basically more technical words, but the main idea is whatever we said, right? That it's a process by which organization trains its employees with better skills to help them improve their own careers and also achieve better performance in the organization. So now, what is the difference between training, education, and development? Now, these are the three different terminologies, right? Training, we have seen that it is a short term process, like it doesn't take very long. If you join an organization, they will maximum, I would say, whatever I've seen, that there is a training of 6 months, not more than that. Because if you cannot learn in that time period, then the company is investing too much of their resources, time, money, and human resources also, you can say, in you, and they are not getting any feedback from you, so they will let go. They will, I guess, fire you from the organization, because 6 months is a long time period and it costs the organization. So you have to learn in a very short term and in a very short time period. And the training is basically focused on enhancing your skills and your knowledge that are necessary for the job, right? Education is very different from training, and education is a very broad term. You can say that training is a part of education, but education as a whole is a very broad term. And I would say that education begins from the day you come into this world, and it ends when you leave this world. Because education, you cannot limit education to just the academic education, right? Education is learning something. You learn from the day you are born, right? And you keep on learning and learning and learning till the day you die. You learn new everything every day, right? That is education. And then there is development. Development is a long term process. You can say it is the opposite of training. In terms of the time period, training is very short term and development is long term. Development can be defined as whatever you have learned, and how you have learned that, and how you have improved yourself, how you have developed yourself by attaining the education, right? uh, Development, if you want to define it, like how you were in class in grade 1, and whatever you have developed over the time to your time now, right? And now you are learning online. So whatever the development has been through these years that has taken place, you can define that all in this development type. I guess that I hope the difference is clear.
Yes.
Now, at the start, we discussed the gap between the gap, right? And how we need to bridge the gap between the actual goals and the expected goals, and or the actual production and the expected production in an organization, right? There are mainly three themes, or you can say three aspects of the gap. The first one is attitude, the second is skills, and third is knowledge. Now, this is a big gap, right? Let's say, how would you define, or what would you say that which of these three attributes is the most easiest, which is the easiest to change? Uh, let's say this is one, two, three, right? And there is a level of easy, then moderate, and then the most difficult to change.
Yeah.
How would you which one would you say is the easiest, and which is the moderate one, and which is the most difficult to change?
Easiest one is probably attitude, and then like the moderate one could be knowledge, and then the like difficult one could be skills.
Uh, how would you say that attitude is the easiest to change? Like, we're not talking on a personal level.
Yeah.
You can say that at an organization level, you are, let's say you are the CEO, and you want to change your employees, right? And then you see these three aspects in your employees: attitude, skills, and knowledge. And then you see that what do you want to change. You are changing these three attitudes, right? And then you say that this is the easiest, this is the hardest. So what would be your reasoning to say that attitude would be the easiest?
I mean, I think it is like like the easiest like from like these like three, because like skills and like knowledge is like pretty difficult. So I think that like attitude is like easiest from these
But
three.
uh, you can change your attitude, but that also takes time. But if you're changing someone else's attitude, like, that can be difficult, no?
Yeah, true.
So I would say that knowledge is the easiest, right? Because if you want to teach someone, you can just hand them a book, or you can say a training manual. They can read and they can learn stuff like that.
Mm.
And then the moderate one would be skills. Like, for skills, you have to do some hard work. You have to work on the employee, right? If you want to teach them some new skill. And the
Yeah.
most difficult would be attitude. If, like, uh, there are people are stubborn, right?
Mm.
They do whatever they think is right, and to change that, that is the hardest part. Then you have to convince them, and then you have to motivate them, and that takes a lot of time.
Yeah.
So I hope I make sense,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you move to the next slide, you will see that this shows an another exercise, and they have shown that attitude is the most difficult, because changing
Mm.
someone else's attitude, that can be very frustrating for you and for the other person as well. Because if, let's say, you are my employer and I'm the employee, right? And you want to change me because, let's say, I'm a very lazy person and I procrastinate, and I don't do the work beforehand. I like to do the work right at the last moment and then submit it, and maybe get late sometimes, and that is not working for you. And then you have to change my attitude, right? Then you have to work double time for me, and you have to keep uh, you have to keep asking me to do work, and you have to make me meet the deadlines or something like that. So you need to work on that more, way harder, and that will be difficult. And if my attitude is not the one, like, if I don't want to change, then I won't change, and then it will not, the situation will not work out for the both of us, right?
Mm.
So in this sense, attitude is the most difficult. So this was the second exercise. Now I hope these ask gap attributes are clear,
Yes.
so we can move forward. Now there are let's move to the learning, right? There are basically five principles of learning. um, you are a student. I am also a student, right? Through all the experiences, how would you say that? What would be the basic five things of learning? How can you improve your learning and stuff like that?
Honestly, by Miss Ginza wants to enter the room. Should I fix it?
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah. So what was the question? Yeah.
The question is that how, you have been learning all your life, right? It can be academic learning. I am also a student. So, what are the things that you have noticed that are important for learning? What would you define as the principles of learning?
Basically, I mean, like being like punctual in like everything, like lectures and like meeting your deadlines, etc. And also, I mean, having like good like course books maybe, so that like
Yeah,
like you like could like gain better and like better knowledge or something.
yeah, that's right. So the five basic principles that are mentioned in the slides are that first of all you need to participate, right? Like I try to involve you because I think that is the best method of learning.
Mhm.
Participation. So if you feel involved, then you feel like you are learning something. But if like when I was a kid, I didn't participate in classes. I was shy and I didn't participate, and that hindered my learning process to some extent, right? So for me, participation is very important. uh, Participation in organizations is that you try to involve the employees or the trainees that you have just hired. You try to involve in them in the daily activities so that they learn by doing. If they're doing something practical, that would be way more easier for them to learn than they have to. If I give you a book and I say you have to memorize it, that would be difficult for you. But if I give you the book and then give you the exercises to do related to the book, like if you have to go out and do an activity, that would be more enjoyable for you, and you will be able to learn way more easier in that way, right? The second principle is repetition. This method is used like ma- uh, many actors use it. I saw an interview from Will Smith. He when he was doing the movie in which he portrayed Muhammad Ali, like he said that he sat alone in a room, in a dark room, right, for about a month or 2 months, and he just mimicked Muhammad Ali and his movements, so that all that repetition, so that that becomes his habit, and he can portray that more easily into the movie. So repetition is done so that you can memorize things, or the activity you're doing, it burns in your mind, so it becomes a part of you. So
Uh,
repetition can also be helpful. Were you saying something?
no, no.
Okay. So repetition can also help in this way, and you can learn in a repetitive manner also, right? So if you repeat ideas and concepts, or even if you repeat a thing many times, then it conveys to the listener, and it sits with them in their mind. And many a times you might have noticed in our conversations, daily conversations, if someone wants you to listen, they will repeat a certain something, right? If there is something of importance, they will try to repeat it so that you remember it.
Mm,
So this is the second principle of learning, and the third is relevance. Uh, let's say I'm teaching you this subject. This is managing people, right? Now I would have to relate it to something that you can also relate it to, something that is close to you and something that you understand. If I completely teach you something from organizations you have never heard of, or if I name an organization you don't know about and you don't know anything about, then you won't be able to relate to that, and the learning process would be hindered, or you might not take interest in that. So this is the principle that you learn from things that are relevant to you, something that you understand. You cannot learn something that you cannot relate to, right? Then there's transference. Now, why I give you examples from daily lives or from organizations or from movie context is that whatever you're learning, you have to implement it in real life. the the thing about mathematics is and why most students hate mathematics is that most things we do in mathematics we don't apply them in real life. Like I don't understand where you would be applying trigonometric
yeah,
operations or integration or differentiation, right?
yeah,
So uh, you don't find them before, you don't find their application in real life, so you don't take interest in that. So the transference is also important. And then there is feedback. Ask for it and adjust training methods to audience. In an organization, you have to be able to take feedback, and you have to adjust your training methods to that, which will in return improve your trainings, right?
yeah,
Like I ask you for feedback. If I'm teaching you, and then I ask you for feedback, and the feedback you give me that will in return help me if for future references or future experiences that I would have in for teaching, right?
yeah,
So feedback is the fifth principle of learning. These were the five principles. I hope they are clear. If you have any
yes,
questions, you can ask.
yeah,
Okay. So now, what is the approach to training, right? A systematic approach would be that how you are training your employees, like they must have some knowledge to what they're about to do or they are about to perform, right? You have to brief them beforehand. Like you cannot go into an organization and just fit into that without knowing anything about the work environment or how the work is carried out or how the hierarchy system works, right? So they must know before they can perform. They must have some knowledge. So you have to train them or you have to brief them beforehand. Uh, then another approach to the training method is that you have to brief them or you have to give them the knowledge about how to improve their performances. That will in return help your work productivity as an organization. If the employees work better, if they know how to improve their performances, then they will work better, and you as a company will benefit from that. Well, this was the systematic approach. Then the third would be that it would be nicer for them to know, but not necessarily perform duties. You can inform them about stuff about the organization. It might not necessarily be related to their jobs, but it will help them if, let's say, you work in an organization and your job is to hire people, right? You are an HR manager or something like that, and the company gives you knowledge about their finances also and some other stuff like that that isn't related to your job. Now that information would help you in such a way that if an employee asks you about the question, asks you questions about finances or what is the payout in the company, then you will be able to help him with that. So the information would be for you, not related to the job, but it can help you if you need any information or anyone else asks you about that information, then you would have that and you can convey the information to them. So this is just a systematic approach to training. And there is a model of the training process. The first, there are main three stages. There is an assessment stage, then there is the training stage, and then there is an evaluation stage. In an organization, the first stage is that the assessment stage, like uh, you need to assess the employees, then you need to task you need to task them with certain assignments, or you can say anything. You can task them with tests. Then you have to develop the training objectives, like whatever you want to train the employees to, or whatever skills you want the employees to have. Then you would development a criteria, training evaluation, right? So all these four steps are included in the assessment stage, and you cannot move forward without doing them. They are very necessary for the assessment, right? And after assessing all of these, assessing the employees through all of these four steps, then you move towards the training stage. First of all, you design and select the procedures, like how you have to train the employees, or what are the methods through which you can train the employees, and then you design those methods, and then you train the employees. And the after training the employees or the new trainees that you have hired, then you move towards the evaluation stage. uh, let's say you have taken some tests from the employees, or you have tasked them with some assignments. Then you evaluate those tests or assignments, and then you rate the employees through the criteria you would have set for the tests or assignments, right? After comparison, if you are hiring new employees, you will then evaluate the results, and then you would hire or fire the employees on the basis of those tests and assignments. If the employee meets the criteria you have set, then you will hire them. If they do not meet the criteria, then you will fire them. All of these steps, they make up a model of the training process. Uh, I hope this is clear, right?
Yeah, it is.
Now there are 9 steps in the training process. Uh, well, I have listed them. You can just go through them. If you have a question, you can ask me. These are the 9 steps that were listed in the previous slide in the table, right? If you want to ask anything from any stage, I can answer, right?
No, everything's clear.
Okay. So now if you move to the next slide, they have just given a brief explanation of every step. Assessing what do you need to do in the assessing training needs. Conduct a training needs analysis by either one or both of the following approaches. Now, in assessing training needs, you can use two approaches. One is external approach, and then there's internal approach. In external approach, external factors are, I guess, there are external factors, company, guests, societies, like whatever you want to use externally for assessing training needs. You can see other companies for references or for as an example, and then you can use other companies' models to assess your needs. Uh, or in internal approach, you can ask your current staff, the staff you are working with, for their opinions, and they can suggest whatever the company needs, or what kind of an employee, or what or an employee with what kind of a skill set you need in the organization, right?
Yes.
So on the next slide, there is an exercise. Uh, imagine you are a manager of a factory with 500 workers making an ice cream for export to Europe. What information and evidence do you need before you can say the employees need training? try to list 5 ideas. Like, just read it yourself and think of 5 ideas that you would suggest.
What information levels do you need for you to save employees make training? Well, firstly, like they like obviously need like they like obviously need to have like uh training in like using the machines, and they need like training like in the like in the like process of like making the ice cream, like how like is it actually made. And then third would be
Can be related
any
to
yeah
the employee turnover rate.
yeah or maybe like for like teamwork, because like they all will be working together.
Yeah. And
And
the fifth one?
huh? Fifth one,
Fifth,
I mean, you can tell me if you have any ideas.
yeah, the fifth one can be related to, you can say, quality control, right? You want to export the ice cream
Uh,
and
yeah,
you want to maintain the level of quality, right?
yeah, true.
Yeah. I guess on the next slide there is a solution for this exercise. Now you can see they have listed a lot of points,
Yeah,
right? Accident report, sick leave report, employee compensation statistics, product quality control, wastage, efficiency, machinery out of order, staff discipline, staff inquiry, guest complaints, refusal of orders, quality of product, market needs and trends, demographic data. Like all of this can come in that, right? The points you listed, they were correct. They,
yes.
so you can. So now the first one we did was assessing training needs, and the second one is preparing training plan. So after we have assessed the training needs, now we are preparing training plan for that, right? Now you can go short term or you can go long term for this, right? It depends on the organization needs or whatever you as a CEO you need, right? You can plan short term or you can plan for long term. Uh, what they have asked is that what are we going to achieve in this time period, and now you have to use a holistic approach, right? You just analyze one thing, but you consider it as a whole, whatever the factors are affecting that thing, right? Uh, you design something. Let's say you have gone for a long-term approach, right? For 5 to 10 years, or if there's a short term, you can take 1 year or some months, right? They have. If you move to the next slide, there is an example. They are considering these 5 training areas, right? Attitude, train the trainer, job competency, sales techniques, telephone manner. All of these are related to the job, right? Let's say attitude first of all. Now, attitude, all the other 4 things are related to the attitude. If you want to change the attitude, then you have to design a plan, and you can see that the months they have highlighted to change the attitude, these are the first 3 months, and then they are focusing on train the trainer. Like if the trainer is training an employee, then you have to see him as well, right? He has to be updated about everything, or the employee goals or the organization goals, whatever they want to achieve. And then comes the job competency, like how competent is the job, or is the employee competent enough to do the job. Then there are sales techniques. There, if it is a sales job, it is very important for that. The employee, if the employee doesn't have the correct techniques, then he won't be able to make the sales, right? So the sales techniques is the most important for this, and then they have training for it throughout all the months in the table. Telephone manner is that how he would be able to speak to the customers, right? So there is also training for 2-3 months for that. This is the example. Like, this is how you can plan for training an employee, right?
Mm.
I hope it is clear.
Yes.
Then there are individual plans. For individual personalized training, we must assess the trainees' weaknesses and strengths first before setting up appropriate programs. Training areas may be tailor-made. Trainee should receive an individual timetable for self-progress. So individual plans, you have to work on each employee separately. You can say, have you heard about the SWOT analysis?
Yeah.
So in that, there's basically strength, weaknesses,
Mm.
opportunities, and threats. So we on an individual level, we are focusing on the strengths and weaknesses. So we can work on that, right?
Yes.
So as a company, you would design individual plans for in each individual, right? And give them those plans so that they can work on that and um, improve themselves for the organization, right?
Mm.
So moving forward, then there are specifying training objectives. Training objectives must be specific and measurable. Uh, if uh, like, you cannot plan for everything, right? You cannot teach everything through the training. You have to specify it so that you can minimize costs. Like, if a company is training an employee, they cannot teach them everything. They will teach them very specific things related to the job that would be important for the job. Other things the employees have to learn for themselves, because the training is costing the company a lot, and they try to minimize their cost, so they make specific training objectives. So and another point is that if you teach the employee everything, then you won't be able to effectively measure their effectiveness, right, of the training program. You have to be specific in some areas that you know that can be easily measured. So you would focus on those areas and then easily assess or evaluate the employees. What should be trainees be able to accomplish after participating in the training program? Yeah, that is the first specific training objective. What is the desired level of accomplishment according to industry or organization standards? Is the employee meeting the standards, or is the employee producing results according to the organization standards? Then the third objective is that do you want to develop attitude, skills, knowledge, or some combination of these three, right?
Mm.
Attitude, skills, knowledge. These were the three gaps, right? We studied about previous.
Yeah.
So all these are the training objectives. These are the specific training objectives that you must have for a training plan. You cannot go very wide. You have to be specific in your approach.
Yeah.
Then there is the designing the training program. Uh, like, how would you design a training program? Like, you have to set the program duration, how long the training program would be, what is the structure of the training program, what are the instruction methods that are being used by the trainees, what are, no, sorry, the training by the instructors, the training methods that they use by the instructors for the trainees, uh, what are the qualifications of the trainers, like what is my qualification for teaching who, right? uh, so the company you can take as this HN International University, and I am the trainer and you are the trainee, right? And what is my qualification for training you? So that would also come in this nature of trainees, like what the trainees like to work under. Some people work under a lot of stress, some people do not work under a lot of stress, right? All of that stuff. Support, resources, materials, OHP classroom, training location and environment, criteria and methods for assessing participant learning and achievement, criteria and methods for evaluating the program, all of this stuff that comes under that. So this is the training program. So, this is how you would okay, design the training program, right?
Mm.
I hope this is clear. If you have any questions, you can ask.
No.
Okay, so next is selecting the instrumental method on the job training, like you can learn on the job. Okay, so on the job training is that you basically learn while you're working. Whatever you're doing, you can work on that and you can learn on the job as well. Second is second instruction method would be that off the job training. Like I would say that there is a training off the job, like they can give you manuals or exercises, or even here, like if I give you an assignment, and that would be your off the job training, right? Uh, well, this is not a job, but this is something of the timing, you can say, right? So they have stated that in-house training or classroom, external consultancies or attending external classes. Like if you want to improve your communication skills, uh, we're not. This is online, right? But when you study in a university where you have to go physically there, right? Then you have to give presentations and stuff like that, and you need good communication skills for that. But they don't teach you that in your regular courses. So maybe you have to take an external course, like from an online course or some other thing apart from the university to improve your communication skills, right? So that would be your off the job training.
Mm. Yes.
And that can include independent bodies such as government talks, distance learning from books and notes, computer assisted learning, interactive video training, video conferencing, same as classroom, except teachers and students are in different locations. So all the methods that are apart from the job, you do something to learn about the job, or there are some books you are reading to improve your efficiency or something like that. That is off the job training. On the job training is you're learning on the job, right? So these are the two methods, instructional methods that you can use. Now there's an exercise is imagine you are the training manager of a hotel, then that will open next year. Your GM asks you to develop a training program that aims to boost the team spirit of the newly formed executive committee members. Your GM suggests you organize a 2-day course in a resort location from 9 to 5 for both days. Your task to uh, is to suggest three training methods that suit the training theme described. I guess time is probably
Yeah, it
uh,
says uh like the last 10 minutes is like left for the meeting to end.
yeah. I guess we have been. When did we start the meeting? Is the time being displayed?
Around ar- around 2:30.
Okay. And now it's 4:30.
3
Oh, sorry, 3.
yeah, 3:42.
Okay. So I guess that's enough for today, right? I will just. So, Ma'am Kinza told me that I need to brief you about the assignment, right? There's only one assignment that you have to do, and that's, I guess, the main one, right? That you have to submit. I asked her the deadline, and she told me that you have to submit the assignment before like till 27th May, right? So I'll just share the assignment in the group.
Okay.
It is managing people, right? Okay. Now I shared it. If
Yeah.
you open that, you'll see that you have some different scenarios, right?
Mm.
You have given some scenarios, and then there is like you can say there are questions at the end, right? You have to basically go through this assignment and you have to submit it. We are covering today. We were 1.2 and 1.2, 1.1 and 1.2, right? Unit 1 it is.
Mm.
So you just see that people management, that you have to draw on your theoretical knowledge to examine the approaches used to manage people, explain how abilities, aptitudes, personalities, attitudes, perceptions affect the behavior of individuals at work, explain the importance of motivation and morale for individual performance. Like this is what
Which
you will have to cover.
which like um assessment criteria do I have to do?
Um, at the end, like when you have to submit, right, you will have to, we will be covering all this, right?
Yeah.
All 4 units.
Mm.
Currently, if you're going to have to start working, right? So currently we are doing criteria 1.1 and 1.2. Today we have covered almost half, like there are a total of 36 slides and we have covered like 22 or 23, right? So I guess 1.1 is clear. So if you start, then you'll able to do one and a half question from the people management, right?
Yeah.
So I guess if you have any questions, you can ask. Like you can go through this and
Okay.
you can ask. Okay.
Or
So I guess the deadline is 27th, and you'll have to do this. And in the next class, the one we have on Sunday, I will, I guess, brief you about the assignment of the other subject, that is managing information.